Welcome to our video series titled Intersectionality. Let's get real. My name is Jenny Medrano and I'm the Shift Program Manager at Building Bridges. I'm excited to reveal something that was inspired by the Wheel of Fortune, a really fun new toy at Building Bridges. It's called the Wheel of Identities. Isn't that cool? It's great. And it's going to be what we use for our interview today with one of our very own Building Bridges staff. So I am pleased to introduce Megan Devenport.
Hi. Hi, Jenny. Really excited to be here.
So now we're going to dive into this fun tool that we have. This is what's going to happen, Megan, okay? Let me explain it. So on this wheel, we have all the same identities that we talked about in the first intro video. Class, gender, race, all that kind of stuff. Some of them are featured twice, and we have this bonus feature, your choice right here, and that is any identity of your choice. So that could be zodiac sign, it could be personality style, it could be what shoe size you have. Any identity important to you that you want to expand on. So you are going to spin this wheel 3 different times.
Okay.
Whatever 3 identities you land on, we'll keep track of. And then at the end, you get to choose which identities you want to expand on and how those intersect in your daily life.
Great.
Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Cool. So why don't you go ahead and spin?
Race! Hooray!
Yay! Fun! Race. Second one we have is citizenship status.
That's exciting.
Interesting.
Last
Third
time.
Ability. Okay, so to reiterate, Megan spun and she landed on race, citizenship status, and ability. So now, Megan, I want to introduce 2 different values that we hold whenever we talk about conversations around identity. It can be pretty personal and sensitive, so we want to be careful of that and respect that. The first value we have is something called challenge by choice. That means that you can challenge yourself to opt in to discuss whatever you want to talk about and not discuss what you don't want to talk about. So you get to choose which of those 3 identities, if any, you want to talk about and how they intersect. And then the second value is accessibility. And that means that we want to be sensitive to different learning styles and how long it might take you to process a question and a topic like this, because this can be kind of hard to just talk about on a whim.
Okay, so for those identities, so I had race and I identify as white. I had citizenship status, I'm a U.S. citizen. And I had ability, and I identify as a person who is not disabled, so that I am able-bodied and don't have a diagnosed intellectual or developmental disability. So, as I think about the way in which those 3 identities intersect, I hold privilege in all 3 of those identities. My racial identity is probably the most present for me right now because of the work that we do here at Building Bridges and the fact that we really center racial equality and racial equity as a core principle and sort of core value that we're driving toward. And in the nonprofit sector, me being a white woman is pretty common in a position of leadership, and so it's just on my mind a lot about how I'm showing up in ways that dismantle white supremacy rather than recreate it here in my organization and more broadly in the sector and in this city where I live. Citizenship status is one of those identities that, because of my work, again, it has become more apparent to me the privilege that I hold in that area, and also because of what's going on in the world and on our borders and with our politics right now. Ability is in being the third identity that I spun is another one that I feel like I've been really working on growing my understanding around because of some of the partnerships that we have at Building Bridges and because of some of the work that we've done to expand accessibility to multiple abilities and multiple ways of perceiving the world. It's caused me to really reconcile and reckon with the fact that I have very few barriers as it relates to my ability.
If one of these identities were changed, how would that affect your experience? So can you think about between citizenship, status, race, and ability, if one of those were altered, and how that would change your life?
I love that question. So one of the things that we talk a lot about at Building Bridges is the reality that that identity overall, many of our identities are mutable and change over time, but the identity of ability in particular is one that is very likely to change for me in my lifetime. That if I live long enough with this body, it will eventually wear out and I will experience a disability of some sort, some limitation to my mobility or my ability to perceive sight or sound or other things. And so I think about that a lot. And I think about how, given that that's the reality, like that we are not more accessible to different abilities is ludicrous, given that most of us will probably share in that experience at some point in time. So I think in your question, it's like it's less of a what if and more of a like when.
Thank you for expanding on that. There's one more thing before we end this interview, okay?
Okay.
So this is called the emotion wheel. I like to hold papers like this and sometimes cover my mouth, so I'm not going to do that. This emotion wheel is for telling us what you're feeling right now. It's very important that in these difficult, sensitive conversations that you can put to words your feelings and check in on how you're actually doing. So Megan, if you would choose 1 to 3 different feeling words and share with us just how you're feeling after that experience.
I'm feeling, I'm kind of feeling a few things. So I'm feeling a little like somewhere in, here it is, vulnerable and exposed, because this is a conversation that is core and central to what Building Bridges is and does, and I'm feeling like I want to represent us well. I'm also, though, feeling really trusting in our process.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this first video of this series. Next week, you can expect another video with another Building Bridges staff member. So that's the Wheel of Identities.